Hello and welcome. Hello and welcome to another video from the only channel that you need to not only survive the current apocalypse but actually enjoy it. And today's video is going to be a reply to a question from a subscriber. Now, a big part of this video is going to be an explanation for how I, as Sustenance and Covering, get videos from point A to point B. And this is a very good opportunity to do that because normally, as I'm working on writing a script for a video, every time I change it, the old version disappears. And so you don't get to see how I start a video and how I make adjustments to the script of the video and then how I finally complete the scripts to the video. But this time around, I was sending out the scripts and emails to friends to check them out. And this has been going on for a few weeks now. And so today I realized that I had all of those scripts that I had rejected still in my email. So I was able to take them all up and send them off to be posted on my website. So you can see that. And in fact, I will leave links on this video so that if you're one of those people that's curious as to how all of this works, you'll get to go there and look at how my scripts evolve from the time I start them till the time that I finish them. Well, in fact, actually that's not true because the very first script that I wrote, it sat in my computer for a long time before I finally wrote it again, and I didn't send it off to anybody. So you're going to kind of see the second version of the script, the third version, and the fourth version. You're not going to see the first, but it'll give you a good idea of how all this works. I understand that out of the 1,000 or so subscribers I have that actually listen to everything I say, probably a very small group would actually be interested in how those videos come about, but a few of them are. So a few of you are. So we're going to go ahead and do this, and I'm going to explain a little bit of it right here in this video so that you can understand everything. First off, this viewer, this subscriber, asked me the question of whether or not a rabbit was a clean animal according to the Bible. And so I could say yes or no to that, but I knew for a fact that nobody is going to ask that question without wanting to know why I believe what I believe. They don't just want a yes or a no. So that was going to be a little bit more evolved. Well, prior to this, I had been working on a script for a video called The 10 Words. Over and over again, people talk about the law, and the way they talk about it makes me think that they don't understand that the law of Moses and the 10 Commandments are two separate laws. And so I felt like I needed to make a video that explained the difference between the 10 Commandments and the law of Moses, and not just the difference, but the connection, because there's a really big connection between God's law, the 10 Commandments, the law of Moses, and the laws of all nations that exist on the earth today. They're all interconnected, they're all linked, and in the video that I'm about to produce, you can see what I'm talking about. Now, the question he had was in particular about the law of Moses, and even though I knew he wanted an explanation for yes and no, I also felt like I had to give him the whole thing, the whole 10 Commandments video. And I had already started this script about the 10 Commandments. I called it The 10 Words. It was in my Sustenance and Covering script folder. And the reason I called it The 10 Words is because by tradition we call it the 10 Commandments, but nowhere in the Bible does it call those 10 laws the 10 Commandments. It's always referred to as the 10 Words. So anyways, that was the beginnings. I had this script. It was halfway done. I had been working on it for about 2 years. And suddenly I had a question that I thought would work in very nicely with that script. And so I didn't respond to the guy initially because I knew that I was going to take about a solid week of writing and combine these two ideas together and then surprise him with this 1-hour video as an answer to his simple question. Problem is, just like everything else, somewhere along the line I lost my steam. Lawnmower broke, camera broke, had to go do something for my mom. Some kind of thing came up that kind of knocked me off track for a little while. But I was going back and forth to it ever since then. But I eventually wrote him and said, look, I'm working on a script to explain your question. I really don't want to sit here and type all day any kind of answer that I would be satisfied with. So let me finish this video. When it's done, I'll send you a link to it and you can see the full answer in all its glory. You'll know exactly, what my thoughts are on this, and it'll be in a form that will allow you to have faith in the Bible. Because this question may not seem like a big deal, but within religion, this is a big issue. Whether or not a rabbit is clean is actually like a weapon that atheists use to prove that the Bible is a lie. And that's probably why my subscribers are interested in it. You know, I don't want people, when I reply to a question about whether an animal is clean or unclean, a lot of people process that through their heads as if I'm responding to a question about whether or not an animal is kosher or not kosher. You know, this is not a religious channel. I don't want to get in any religious debates. This channel is about the Bible. I want to make sure everybody understands that when I'm talking about God, I'm talking about God's Word. I'm not talking about religion. So in any case, we have a kind of animal on this earth called a ruminant. You know, it's like we have reptiles and mammals. Well, a ruminant is a subclass of mammals. And the reason they're called ruminants is because their stomach doesn't work exactly the same as all other species. Ruminants are animals like deers, sheep, cows that wander around eating grass. Now, their stomachs cannot digest grass because it's a process that it wouldn't be efficient. You know, the way we eat, if humans were to eat grass, you know, there would be issues eventually. But with a cow, they can, and the reason they can is because when they initially eat their grass, they chew it up and they swallow it. It goes into a part of the stomach that does not digest the grass. It ferments it. So that ferments in their stomach to a point where their body tells them it's time to chew it again. And that stuff comes out of their stomach, goes into their mouth. They chew it again, and they swallow it again. The second time they swallow it, they go to a part of the stomach that actually digests the food. And I'm not really sure of exactly how that process goes. They have 4 chambers. It's very possible that they chew and swallow 4 times. I don't know. I'm not an expert on that. There are plenty of videos about that or other information available on the internet. If you're really curious about how ruminants work, you can, you know, click something into a Google search box, and in a few minutes you'll have all the information that's available in the world on that. Anyway, rabbits don't have that. They just have a simple stomach. And so people say that since a rabbit is not a ruminant, that the Bible's a lie, because here's how the verses pertaining to this are worded. That which cheweth the cud, but splitteth not the hoof, thou shalt not eat. Chewing the cud is another way of saying an animal that swallows its food and then brings the food up and chews it again and swallows it again. Now, the Bible, at least the Old Testament, was originally written in something called Hebrew or Paleo-Hebrew or Aramaic, however you want to call it. There's, you know, to try to quantify everything in the Bible is just not a good idea. But eventually the Greek Empire conquered the whole world, including the Jews, and so the Greek Empire took over production of the Bible. So they translated the Bible from Hebrew into Greek. Later, the Romans conquered Greece, and they had the Bible translated from Greek into Latin. Later, the Anglo-American world empire took over, England, and they took the Roman Latin Bible and translated it into English. A lot of people are not aware of this, or they deny it, because they want to believe that the King James Bible is directly translated from Hebrew, and I can promise you I have done the research, and I don't mean I have looked up what other people say about it. I have actually read every Bible I can get my hands on, and every English Bible that we have is directly related to the Latin Bibles that existed before, but they're almost not related at all to the original Hebrew or even to the Greek. There's obvious distinctions. It's very obvious that this process took place, and any claims to have gone back to the original languages to produce the English Bible are lies, I promise you. I'm not saying that people did not research the original languages, but the product that they produce is based on the Latin Catholic Church's Bible. There's no explanation for a lot of the teachings that are in our King James Bible. But in the original languages, what is actually recorded there in Hebrew is that which splits and splits, and that which parts and parts, and that which bringeth up, thou shalt eat, or thou shalt not eat. And that has nothing to do with cheweth cud. That's simply, the cheweth cud thing is simply an idiomatic way of translating that Hebrew into something that English speakers would have understood back in, 1776 or whenever the King James Bible. The original King James Bible really no longer exists. They're in museums, and I think you can purchase one on eBay, but it's like $10,000. They're not cheap. The Bibles that we have that are called King James Bibles were produced by King George that fought against the United States in the American Revolution. And if you compare the older version, the King James, to what we call King James to Bible, they're not that closely related. They're both translations of the original Latin, but they don't seem to be translations of one another. But knowing, or if we speak of these animals as those that cheweth the cud but splitteth not the hoof, or if we speak of these animals as those that split and part and bring up the small particles, those descriptions mean nothing to us. But thankfully in the Bible, after giving that legal definition of the food, they give examples. So they say, that which splitteth the hoof like a cow, or that which splitteth not the hoof like a rabbit. So we can get a general idea of what they meant, even if we can't understand what they were saying. Rabbits not having a four-chambered stomach are not ruminants, according to the English scientific explanation for what a ruminant is. In the ancient past, science was other things. It was alchemy. Before that, it was sacred geometry. There's always been a religion, very similar to the religion of science today, always by a different name. But the language of that religion changes from time to time, just like regular, normal person, human language changes. And so, nothing that's written in the Hebrew, nothing that was in the Greek, the Latin, or the English says that this scripture is about ruminants. It describes them as just the way I said, which could be taken a lot of different ways. But just so you know why the Bible may call a rabbit or compare a rabbit to a cow, cows swallow their food, goes into one chamber where it ferments, and then it comes up and they chew it, and it goes into a chamber that digests it. Rabbits only have one chamber in their stomach, but they make two kinds of poop. Humans never see the first kind of poop unless they have a rabbit in their vicinity that is sick, because rabbits don't vomit their food back into their mouth. What they do is they eat it, they swallow it, it passes through their intestinal tract, and as it's coming out, the rabbit reaches back and swallows his own poop. So the first time a rabbit eats it, the food ferments. He eats it when it comes out of his butt, and then he swallows it again, and the next time it comes out, it looks like that regular stuff that you always see in your yard. Little bitty round pellets that seem to be made up of chopped up dry grass. Very similar to sheep poop, very similar to deer poop, and if you adjust for size, very similar to cow poop. So in any case, I'm not going to make a statement about the scientific nature or the scientific differences between regular ruminants and a rabbit. I'm just going to tell you that according to the definition as recorded in the original Hebrew of what is clean and what is not clean, rabbits are chewers of the cud. Rabbits are those which chew and or split and part and bring up. And they do not have split hooves. They've got little claws like a dog or something. Anyways, there you go. The Bible calls rabbits unclean because they do not fit the description, and according to the ancient languages, that is the case. Once again, if you do not wish to survive, do not listen to me. And you can see the scripts for all three versions of the video I'm about to produce on the website under podcast. The links will be in the description box. You can also see the video I'm talking about in a week or two, maybe in just a few days if I can get it done before it rains. And I hope you'll do that.